I'm Tim of Govberg, and welcome to the world of IWC. Today, I'll be your guide to the features of the IWC Da Vinci Chronograph Edition Sport for Good Foundation. 42mm in stainless steel, this is reference 3934-02, part of 2017's class of new Da Vinci models. The watch combines historical elements with the distinctive cue of the Laureus Sport for Good series. This is the 11th installment in that series and a limited edition of 1,500 pieces. Now, the timepiece is richly appointed. It features a Da Vinci-specific single-fold deployant steel clasp. The clasp loops with the opposite side of the strap to provide insurance against accidental droppage while donning or removing at bedside. The strap is upscale, gloss rectangular scale alligator leather. In navy blue, it features robust bolstering down the center to add body and definition, folded edges in a monotone stitch, and on the underside, the signature signal orange of the Italian house Santoni, leather specialists and crafters of fine straps for IWC. Now, on the wrist, the signal orange disappears, and the timepiece is dominated by that Laureus Sport blue. The Laureus Sport for Good Foundation, championed by IWC and the Richemont family of companies, uses the power of sport to empower children around the world faced with underprivileged lifestyles. We'll return to that signature caseback and its origins, but first let's discuss the case and the hinged lugs. Now, though this is a 42mm case, it's important to note that the historically accurate hinge lugs, a reference to the Da Vinci series of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, allow this 42mm watch to wear more like a 38 or 39mm steel round watch. Beautiful, elegant, and ergonomically correct, they're distinctive of the Da Vinci series, as well as an example of active ergonomics within the watch industry, conforming to the shape of the wrist rather than forcing the wrist to conform to the watch. Now, you can see the case is all of high polish, but surprisingly nuanced with sensuous compound curves, the flare of the hinge of the lugs, and the sweep as it abuts the dramatically cambered sapphire. A note on that sapphire. The original Da Vinci chronographs of the 80s and 90s featured a broadly domed plexiglass crystal that created a charming off-axis, almost vintage-style distortion, and this sapphire, though upgraded and far harder and more scratch-resistant than the plexiglass, has been dramatically cambered and domed to produce the same charming off-axis distortion effects of the minutes and hours. A beautiful reference to IWC history for the connoisseur. Now, you can see just underneath the periphery of that sapphire the white calibrations for the minutes and seconds, as well as the shocks of red that characterize the tritone dial. Blue dominant in the fashion of the Laureus Sport for Good series, which began in 2005. You can see that it also features hand-applied and polished Arabic numerals, framing beautiful alpha-style hands, polished and faceted at center. Now, you can see the dial is beautifully balanced and simple. It has a twin-register double layout, albeit with tri-register functionality, as both chronograph hours and minutes are provided by superimposed hands on a single mono counter at 12 o'clock. Each register features a polished chapter ring to add elegance. And you can see more characteristics of the Da Vinci series: the knurled flanks of the chronograph pushers, and the onion-style crown. Now, we follow them to the flanks of the case and then around the case back, and it's worth mentioning where this charming image came from. One of the children involved in a contest to create the caseback art for the next Laureus edition watch, Hu Yi of Shanghai, China, penned this image of a jubilant skier. Charming, quirky, and very much part of the tradition of the Laureus Sport for Good series. It reminds you exactly who is the beneficiary of the foundation, as well as this series of IWC watches dedicated in its name. Underneath the caseback is IWC's manufacture caliber 89361. Automatic with a 68-hour power reserve, it features 38 joules to pivot with low friction, providing both immense functionality in the form of a flyback chronograph that can be reset and restarted with a single push of the trigger at 4 o'clock, as well as timing stability thanks to its free-sprung architecture that balances free-sprung to resist shock or vibration-induced timing deviation, making it a more rugged timekeeper. Now, of course, the watch features 3 ATM water resistance, which is sufficient for protection against splashing or inadvertent rain, but it's not a swimmable watch per IWC. Additional refinements that come from this caliber include hacking seconds so you can pull the crown, stop the seconds, and synchronize to a reference time, a quick set to rapidly cycle the date should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month, and IWC's signature Peloton pawl-based winding system, a mechanical engineering tradition of the Schaffhausen manufacturer. For over 60 years, it provides both efficiency in its bidirectional pawl winding, as well as a vibration-free winding experience so you don't feel rotor wobble as the rotor is moving on the wrist. You can see this and the entire IWC collection of fine timepieces on our website, govbergwatches.com.